Hello and welcome to Kim's Cozy Corner. Y'all, I decided to upgrade my digital pressure canner, and we are going to can today, and we're going to do the digital 23 quart right beside, I believe this is the 12 quart, but we are going to pressure can in both of these side by side to see if I really like this upgrade or not. This isn't a sponsored video in any way, shape, or form, but I've been really trying to use my digital canner for everything. Water bath canning, pressure canning. I want to use this for everything versus having to pull out a lot of different pieces of equipment. But this one, I cannot water bath can quart jars. I can only water bath can pint jars. And that's a setback for me. So I wanted to upgrade, but this thing is super heavy. So they came out with this new, I guess that's aluminum or something. It's a 23 quart, but you can water bath can up to quart jars, and you can pressure can the same in both, right? But I can double stack in this one. And this one, I think, said it weighed 16 pounds. I mean, like, it's super light compared to what that other one would have been. So anyway, we are going to pressure can this morning, and we're going to do potatoes. Now, I've already harvested tons and tons of potatoes. None of them are going bad yet. There's no reason to put them in a different state. But y'all, there's a lot of potatoes in there. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to pressure can some potatoes today. But the first thing we got to do, y'all, we got to cut those potatoes, right? We got to get the skins off. So that's the first step. I usually keep my potatoes downstairs in a dark, cool space up under my steps. But I knew I had a lot of potatoes and I was going to have to take care of some of these potatoes. So I left some up here that I can start preserving. And then there's still a whole bunch downstairs. And they're going to all be mixed, y'all. I don't have time to go through, make sure I only have one variety in here. So we'll have mixed varieties in here for this canning session today anyway. And I'm not doing any teeny little bitty potatoes like that. These are my fingerling potatoes. We won't be doing those. I mean, if it's a big fingerling, yes. But when they're teeny tiny, nah, yeah, we won't be doing those. Okay, some of them are getting spongy, so it's a good time to start working on them. Now I got to save that one to bake. That is a Kennebec. We will save this one for a nice meal. That's 2 or 3 cuts versus 100 cuts to get the skins off. All right, that should be enough for what we're going to do today. Pull this back down and over it. Turn the light off. And then we are mostly in the dark in this space. And I'm in my dining room. And so there's airflow, there's AC, air conditioning and everything, but we'll keep them down there out of the sun. So these are quite dirty. I think I was working in the mud when I picked them, when I harvested them. So we're going to give them a good rinse and wash off before we even get started. Just so I'm not working with super filthy potatoes. So I have everything I need for this project now. I got my clean potatoes. I have the water that I'm going to put my potatoes in after I cut them up to keep them from browning, my cutting board to cut them up. Oh, I don't have everything. I need something to put my trash in. Let me get a bag. Now, we're good to go. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to put my water over here out the way. Y'all, and I think we're good. I'm all set up. Now, when it comes to potatoes, I figured this would be a good time to just chat with you, right? So when it comes to potatoes, they have to be pressure canned, okay? That's the first step. Not water bath can, but pressure can. And you can do it so many different ways. You can hot pack, where you pre-boil your parboil, goodness gracious, your potatoes before you start, which is one option. And that's how I used to do it. But now, y'all, I start with just whole potatoes. I don't worry about pre-cooking, parboiling, or anything like that, because they're already going to cook for a very long time in the canner. So I don't do that step anymore. Instead, I just put them in just like this. Let me get my right sizes here. I'm going to put them in just like this right here without them being cooked first. And then we're going to cook them using the Ball Book of Canning's recipe. So here's the picture of the book that I use. Now, you can boil them just as plain potatoes. For my quart jars, I put a teaspoon of salt. If I'm just boiling them, or if I'm just canning them, I should say, in water. If that's all I'm doing, that's all I'm going to do. Teaspoon of salt, put them in boiling water, and pressure can. If I want like a meal in a jar, like maybe it's a soup that's ready to go, all I got to do is take it out the jar and heat it up. Then I can put other things like onion and carrots and that kind of stuff. Sometimes I want herb potatoes, so I will put like rosemary and thyme and some other parsley or basil or something like that in the jar with it. So when I open that jar and I get ready to cook, they're already seasoned with whatever herbs that I want in them. That kind of limits, what I can do with them when I pull them out the jar. Most of the time, I am going to can mine in just water. I might add chicken broth instead of plain boiling water to just, kick that flavor up a notch when I take it out. And I can pretty much use that with anything. So that's typically what I do. I have done meals in the jar. I've done breakfast potatoes in the jar, y'all. Ooh, they were good. I put sweet peppers, onion, and the typical salt in the jar. And and to turn them into breakfast potatoes, the only thing you need to do is drain the water off of them, put them in a skillet, and fry them up. Now, the only bad thing is that, y'all, that was back when I had my Joe Parkers mixed in with my sweet peppers. So I thought I had a non-spicy pepper in those breakfast potatoes, and I was wrong. I was very wrong. I gave some of those to a family friend, and even though he likes spice, he don't want spicy breakfast potatoes. So that was the one mistake on one of the batches. I think it was only on one batch. Other than that, everything was easy and it looked good and it tastes good. I still have some rosemary herb potatoes in the cabinet right now. I think that kind of gives you an idea of some of the things that you can do with your potatoes. Now, I use two different canning books. Both of them are by Ball, but this second book I'm going to put up on the screen here, this one gives you lots of options for like meals in a jar. So you can have a chicken meal in the jar. All you got to do is open it up, put it in a skillet, put some water in it, and now you got a one skillet meal of chicken, potatoes, carrots, onion, whatever, celery, that kind of stuff. So I did that a couple of times. I did it with several jars of beef and I did it with several jars of chicken. And they were actually really, really good. I only did a few jars, and so my family forgot about them. And we made a jar not too long ago, and it was really, really good. So I'll probably do that when I have to do something with my potatoes, because I will already have my plain potatoes all jarred up. So let me finish skinning and cutting my potatoes to size. I like my potato slices to be about an inch. I think it's an inch. And you want whatever size you cut your potatoes into, you want them to be uniform. If you got some that are super small, then they're gonna be mush when it gets done cooking. So just keep that in mind as you're determining what size you wanna cut your potatoes up into. Now I'm gonna get back to this task, and I will bring it back when I'm ready for the next step. And that next step is gonna involve us starting to warm our jars in the 2 containers. I'm finished with the potatoes. They are right there. They're clean. They're ready to go. They're in water, keeping them underneath the water so that they don't brown. But it's now time for us to start our canners. In the 28-quart canner, this operation is exactly the same as the other one. And so we are pressure canning, and we are pressure canning for 40 minutes. And I've already inserted the jars, and now they're warming. I didn't want to get stuck halfway through the canning process, so I moved this one to the space here just in case it was going to overload that circuit. So I wasn't sure, so I moved this one to this spot over here. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to pressure can. We're pressure canning for 40 minutes. I've already inserted the jars, and now we're warming the jars. So that's it for now. We'll see how they do compared to each other. When it's time to fill the jars, I'll bring you back. It's now time to fill the jars. The canner is telling me to fill the jars. The original one that I have, the 12-quart one, was ready first. Now that one has the no stick lining that you can pull out. This is just all aluminum, and it takes longer for this one to heat the jars than the other one. Just, that's the only difference, but it's heating jars. It's no big deal. So now we're going to fill the jars. I think the jars are hotter on this one. That's just my opinion. And I can hear the canner trying to make sure it keeps the water warm. I can't hear that on the other one. This canner, the outside of this canner stays hot. It gets very, very hot, where the other one is nice and cool. We're putting a teaspoon of salt into all of the jars, into all of the quart jars. And I'm gonna put in half a teaspoon if I was doing a pint jar. And technically, you don't have to put any salt in at all. I thought I was recording and I wasn't. I took all of my jars, filled them up with the potatoes and the teaspoon of salt, and I added boiling water into the jars. I got the air bubbles out, made sure the jars were, I think, an inch headspace, if I remember correctly, and cleaned the rims, put the lids on, finger tight, and I put them into the container. I have both one wide mouth and one regular mouth quart jar into this container right here. I hit the button and I got it started. The one thing that I did have issues with is getting used to putting this lid on. I lined the arrows up like it said, but it took me a minute to figure that out. And now this is ready to go, and I've already hit the button to get it started. So once it heats and gets up to pressure, it will stay at pressure for 10 minutes. After that point in time, they will tell me to add the regulator. If it loses pressure, it'll get back up to pressure again, and then it's going to cook for 40 minutes. But I don't have to do anything else until it tells me to add the regulator. In this one over here, I did the exact same thing. I started it up maybe 15 to 30 seconds later than the other one. In this container, though, I have 2 quart jars, one wide mouth, one regular mouth, and then I have 1 pint and a half size jar, which means I have to process it for the quart size jar timing. So same timing for that jar and the other 2 jars that are in here. I started it up, same process as with the other unit. Now this one seems to do things just a little faster than the new unit, but not a big enough difference to matter one way or the other. They both should follow the same process. And guess what, y'all? I don't have to do anything else until it tells me to add the regulator. So I'll bring you back when that time comes, and I'll let you know what the differences are. So this canner is about 1 minute ahead of that canner. So it's telling me to put the regulator on. Regulator's on it. I'm going to push the button and we're going to go to the next step. Now my other one's going off. Same thing on this one. Again, I'm about 1 minute behind. I'm putting the regulator on top, pressing the button to take it to the next step. Now this Presto canner is similar to the traditional canner with where you put your regulator and all that kind of stuff. It's hot, so I can feel the heat coming off the sides of it. So I believe this one is going to heat my kitchen up, where the other one will keep my kitchen nice and cool. So 2 more things to think about as far as we compare the two side by side. And so I will bring you back when everything's all said and done, and I will show you the difference in the two processes. And honestly, they should end about the same since they're only 1 minute different. So unless for some reason they lost the pressure to the point where they have to really bring it back up, we should be about the same. All right, y'all, it's another day later. Actually, it's several days later. I thought I finished the video and I looked and I turned the record on and off at the same time. So I got 2 seconds and I did all that talking off camera, but I've pulled everything back out so I can show you. These are the potatoes that we canned together in the 2 different canners. And I've mixed them up now, so I don't know which ones came out of which canner, but they all look identical. So I'm assuming it doesn't really matter. They all look great. I had some siphoning on a few of the jars, which I kind of get with my jars anyway. I just don't think I get all of the air bubbles out, or they're siphoning off during the canning process, which means I don't have my rings on properly. But that's not going to hurt anything. They'll be just fine in the jars. They won't even brown because they'll get used before that even happens. So let's quickly talk about the difference in the 2 canners. Now I got this canner going for another project, but I wanted to pull them out side by side again. The product came out exactly the same. This one cooked about 2 minutes faster than the other one. It heated up about a minute faster than the other one, but no big differences whatsoever. 12 quart, 23 quart. Some other differences. This one, the outside stays nice and cool at all times. That gets hot. Don't put your hand on that. You're gonna burn yourself. And so that will heat your kitchen up. This one will not. This one I can only, from a pressure canning standpoint, I can produce all the way up to quart size jars. But when I water bath can, I can only water bath can pint size jars. This one, I can water bath can all the way up to quart jars. And I can, from a pressure canning standpoint, I can double stack. So I can get twice the load on the 23 quart canner. Those are all the differences. In my mind, they're not good or bad. They're just differences. But the one thing that I'm not crazy about, but I mean, it's important, but I'm not crazy about, is that when I'm ready to clean this one up, it has an internal piece right here that I can pull out and clean. That one does not, which means I am turning that heavy canner on the side to clean the inside out when I'm in that process. That's the only difference that in my mind is a con, right? That I don't like, but it's not that big a deal. It's really not that big a deal. But that's the difference in the 2 canners. Now, I won't put this one away forever. I will be using this one and that one when I got a big load of things to water bath can, and there are pints in there as well as quarts. So that's the differences of the 2 different sizes of the Presto digital canner, the 12 quart versus the 23 quart, which is the newer model that they just came out with. Links to all the products will be below in the description if you're interested. Thank you for joining me. If you like the video, please consider subscribing, turning on notifications, liking, sharing with your friends and family, And in the comments, tell me what else we need to be canning together. So until next time, and I hope there will be a next time that you hang out with me at Kim's Cozy Corner. Bye.